What's going on, guys? Welcome to Wired Wednesdays. I am your host this week, Michael from GPURisers.com and TerraHosting.io, and maybe I'll just put a list there, start a list. Today we are co-hosted again with the veteran miner, of course, our co-host, and we have the mining king, or I guess the king of Terra Hosting is the name now.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I almost went with that name for my Discord name. I got that Discord message where you permanently change your name and they don't use the numbers anymore. And I was like, oh man.
Oh yeah.
Should I stick with the King of Terra Hosting or should I use the Mining King? I'm like, I'll just do the Mining King. I was just trying to be funny. So
mine's just, I think, Vistang and Vistang. I just kept it simple. We're muted?
You're gonna have to say everything all over again.
Over again. All right, Mike pulled Dave. We'll get it one day. One day we'll get it.
Muted. Audio's fine. Retro mic. Okay. Oh, you guys are trolling me?
You got trolled.
Me?
Here, I'm gonna unmute so it might double sound. So I'll let you know. Let's hear.
Okay.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's working.
Okay.
Sounds working.
Yeah, we're good.
It's working. You hear the echo?
Yeah. You got me. Automatic beats. So that was good because we never know if we're good or not. So that was a good.
That's all right. They're just gonna troll you for a while.
Yeah. So what's up, guys? Thank you for tuning in to Wired Wednesdays. We got some familiar faces here. We got Kaiser, Automatic Beats with the jokes here today. Patrick Guillen, Retro Mike, the GOAT, Geek of All Trades, Steven Cicero, Max Voltage. What's up, man? I'm very quiet. Okay. It's just me. I'm quiet today, Max. I'm just kidding. I'll bump up my thing.
He still has the panda sickness, Panda 19.
DJ Minds, what's going on? Some 22s in the chat. Thank you, guys. So welcome to Wired Wednesdays. We're going to go over what we did the past week. That's kind of how we've always done it. I'll start because I kind of want to stop talking as soon as possible. No, I'm just kidding. But last Wired Wednesdays, I was in Kansas. I was doing some work for Terra Hosting, and I was blessed with the bat virus. So I have been dealing with COVID since Thursday, I think, but I did my hair today just for you guys, so everyone feels special in the chat. I only had my fever, I think, for a couple or 2 days or something, and then I lost taste, which was super weird. I've never lost taste or smell, which I'm regaining it back now, which is good. I can smell things. I learned that after picking up after my dogs earlier today. And I can taste things again, so that's good. So I feel a little bit better, but I might be a little scratchy today. So that has been my week recovering. So Max Voltage, GPURisers with the second best hairline amongst crypto YouTubers. Thank you, Max. I appreciate that. I'll work until I get your #1 spot, and we'll get a trophy that we can ship around everyone. The bad virus, oh no, yeah, it's been interesting. I don't know. The first 2 days were rough. You're just like out, and then it's just like sucks. You're just like, you're hot, and then you're cold, and then you're hungry, and then you're not hungry. But that's about, everyone knows about COVID. I'm tired of the COVID talk. So I finally got it. That was my first time getting it. So luckily I got it in the middle of nowhere where I had to get on flights and do everything with masks, and it was just it's nothing like a 8-hour flight with layovers and staying in a hotel in the middle of Kansas. It was fun. Had a good time. But yeah, I'll let Dave, the wire guy or the veteran miner, go. Dave, what have you been doing the past week?
What I've been doing the past week, making wires. I finally have the final product for the flux wire, so that was done today. And then also I have a new you would say kind of like logo, I would say, that I think I showed you, Mike. I think I put it on Twitter too. So it's gonna be
t-shirt one.
Yeah, the t-shirt one. Maybe sells t-shirts or something like that. Put it on the website. I'll be wearing that logo when I go to Mighty Disrupt and then Cypherpunk, and so that's pretty cool. It was a lot of work. That just got finished today too. Warehouse might be moving, but I don't know. I know I said I wasn't gonna say anything, but I might be moving. I'm in a month-to-month with the warehouse that I have now, right? So I was in a very, very tight time frame when I had to go pick up all that product and I had to put it somewhere. And then I really wanted to make this warehouse work, but with the heat, and there's not many ways to cool down this big warehouse, then investing a lot of money that, number one, it's not my place, right? I didn't buy it, so I'm just investing all this money just to try to make this place that I can work out of and be a one-stop shop. That was the whole goal, right? I would have to literally make just basically a compartment in a compartment to make it work. So there's another unit, actually it's a storefront actually, that I'm looking at. Tomorrow I have an appointment because internet is a necessity. So I was dealing with problems over there too and getting internet. I tried that T-Mobile hotspot, but there it just didn't work. It didn't work well. So I had to return that thing. And man, I don't know if you guys ever dealt with T-Mobile, but So they have the T-Mobile stores, right? I'm gonna go on a rant with T-Mobile right now.
No,
I don't have
King loves
anything.
T-Mobile, so you guys can.
Whoa.
Listen to this though. You gotta listen to the story.
I'd rather deal with T-Mobile than Verizon. That's all I'm gonna say.
I'd rather deal with none of them, honestly, to be honest. But I had that 5 gig hotspot, the box, right? So basically the glorified
I know exactly
cell
what
phone.
you're talking about, yeah.
Yeah. So the glorified cell phone that's gonna give you 5G, unlimited. They're not gonna cap you, whatever the case may be. So I have this thing, and I'm putting it all over the freaking warehouse, and I'm trying to get bars and stuff like that, and the bars like poor to like nothing to poor, and basically it was this I made a phone call and it was like Wi-Fi calling, because the phones are Wi-Fi calling. I said like 3 words, it dropped my call back to whoever I was talking to at the time. 4 words, it dropped my call, and I'm like, man, this thing's not working at all. I'm trying to get online, so I had like a little laptop. It was bad.
Did you not see how the coverage was in the area? Like, was it?
They said full bars, 5G, everything, and what they told me was if it doesn't work, no problem. You have a 14-day, and you can return it.
Right. Yep.
Well,
the
salespeople at the stores are just like.
So this is where the punchline is.
This is where the whole process of getting the unit and saying, hey, here you go, setting it all up, 1, 2, 3, right? That was great. Great process, great salesman, whatever. Returning it was a nightmare. So I'm going to the store, and these stores are more considered like they're T-Mobile stores, right? But it's almost like a satellite store, man. Like they don't do anything there. They go online and they call the reps to actually activate the phones and do everything. They can't do anything in their computer systems.
Yeah, I would say that's probably true from most wireless stores though, like Verizon or Sprint.
Well, if you ever change a plan or something like that, they look up your account, they change your plan, whatever the case may be. But they had a call, and basically now you're speaking to someone over the phone that you can hardly hear, and you're trying to cancel, and then their printer wasn't working. They couldn't print out the shipping label. He was like, well, I can't guarantee that it's going to get there. This is a different sales guy now. Basically, I guess they don't like you when you're returning something.
That's weird. Yeah. You want to cancel? Oh no, we got to transfer you over to someone with really bad service.
We may not be liable if it doesn't make it there. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, you guys are taking the product and you're printing out a shipping label, and the shipping label was like really messed up, but you can actually like read the numbers. And I'm like, what? I was like, so you're saying that you just took responsibility? You're gonna ship it out, but I still might be liable for whatever $200 something for this unit. Yeah, that's a possibility. I was like, well, can I speak to a manager then? Because it doesn't even make any sense. So I was pissed. I just wanted to return it because it didn't work, right? And you have that 14 days money back, whatever the $30 something that I had to pay just to try it out. It is what it is. But just to return, I was there for like an hour and a half just trying to return this thing.
So fun. I do know about that, and I know that you do have to ship it back and they won't accept it in store. So I know that in advance. And I also have a shipping label printer right over here that I use frequently. So I have that handy.
So that's what he's telling me. I was like, well, the rep that sold me everything, the really nice guy that I had a great experience with when he was selling me the unit, he was like, yeah, if it doesn't work out, Dave, just come back 14 days. We'll just take it back. We'll do everything, and no hard feelings. No, that wasn't the case at all.
He didn't tell you that you had to ship the unit back? Because that's what they told me.
If I would have known that, I would have called them up myself, and I would have printed out a shipping label. And I know that I'll get there because I would send it out to the UPS or whatever FedEx that they want. And I'm like, I would have taken care of everything. It's just like I have a certain amount of time for everything that I do basically lately, right? So it's just like, okay, I'm committing for a certain amount of time just to return this stupid thing so I could just move on with my day. So I'm just like there, and I'm getting phone calls. I'm trying to do things, and I'm, oh man, so not worth it. But anyway, make a long story short, they took it. I don't even know if it's got shipped yet. I don't know if they shipped it or anything, but they have it. And then basically
they just threw it in the pile in the back.
Yeah. The other thing was, I was like, well, you're gonna print off a confirmation saying that my system is canceled. Like, this is canceled now, so I don't get charged for it. He said no. He's like, we can't give you anything. I was like, I'm just going to give you this unit and that's it. I'm not going to get anything. Nothing at all. So I'm like, what's going on? What's like, who am I dealing with? So he had to call up. They had to cancel it online. And then basically I got the manager involved and she was like, yeah, you could print this off. So I don't know if he knew what was going on or whatever the case may be. So I got my receipt. I got a zero balance. So that's all that matters. So I don't know.
Well, there you go, man. That was a great story.
That sounds like an exhilarating week, Dave. Exhilarating.
It feels like I was there for days. You should have been there with me because that's what it felt like. Anyway.
I've spent my fair share of time in T-Mobile stores with hotspots. So
it was just like whatever. So that was that, and then basically, so I'm trying to work on. I just happened to stumble upon this storefront, right? And I wanted to entertain a thought, and I spoke to someone. So there's a lot of things going on with that. I'll have more information. If I can get internet, I'm probably going to get that facility. Okay. Now, it's not as big as the one that I'm in right now, but it's still feasible, and basically it will be a complete one-stop shop. That's the ultimate goal, that I'm not working in two different areas. I just one spot. So then I could, because I have so many, like you guys probably seen like pictures or maybe shorts of like the warehouse that I'm in right now of how much product I have in there. So I can't do as much as R&D that I would like to at being in two different locations at the same time.
Yeah.
Right. So pretty much you're going to have is the new place going to have like a warehouse space and then like an office front? So that way you can do like your shipping and like office stuff.
Yeah. So there's going to be like an office where I would probably be working out of, and then the warehouse space for all the other stuff. And I'm not sure where I'm going to put the machines, or maybe I'll just have it in there. But I also want to set up like, obviously a computer system is going to be in there to do my shipping and everything else, but probably maybe doing some live streams or something like that too. Everyone's, I remember people saying that, hey, you may want to like live stream of just like making some wires or something like that. I know you were talking about that too.
Just make sure the camera's pointed away from the slave labor, right? So people don't really see what's going on.
Showing just don't show my little workers, working away. I wish I had workers working with me, man. Probably make life a little easier, but we're not at that point yet. It's all, I have to do it all right now. But so that was my interesting week, and this is what's going on. So probably next Wednesday, I should have some definitive answers of what's going on with the new place. I'll find out if I get cable. If I can get, it's cable, right? It's
coax
like
internet.
Yeah, coax. I call it cable because it's just freaking coax, So, it's coax, but there's a new company that came into town too, that they're running fiber lines all over the city.
Oh, this thing knows all about fiber.
Yeah.
Fiber what?
So
5 gig fiber what?
We'll see though, because I can't sign a lease and not have, right now the first company that's available there, it's 50 megabits or megabits, right?
Yeah.
Megabits per second.
Oh man, that's actually
DSL.
Really,
we got
really
Mike's
low,
calling in, so I'm gonna throw him in real quick.
Okay, cool.
It's DSL, so
yeah,
that's not gonna work.
Yeah, that's pretty slow.
Yeah.
Is that a minivan you're test driving? Is that what it looks like? I can't tell.
It's dark. Keep dreaming, you long bearded fuck.
What's going on, Mike? You got your new snapbacks in?
That's it, baby. I got the trucker hat.
Nice.
The trucker hat. That was a very interesting story, Dave. I almost fell asleep driving.
Too bad you didn't. I mean, yeah.
That's nice.
We all have stories with T-Mobile, Mike. We all have stories.
I don't even want to hear the word hotspot anymore. I don't even want to hear the word hot and spot put together.
Yeah. But King, what's going on with you? What happened in the past week since last when I was in Kansas right when COVID was right here in my nostril? What have you been up to since then?
I've been playing with that 3D printer a lot, so I've been printing out a lot of cool stuff and checking things out and things like that. And I I actually think last Wired Wednesday, me and Dave kind of went over it. He's working on a project with me for some custom cables on the workstations. So I'm kind of dabbling in, selling like products and stuff like that. I'm not selling anything yet, but
well, you're
maybe I'll get there.
Stuff, yeah.
Yeah, prototyping right now is kind of, I would say, would be the choice word right now. So I've been messing with a lot of stuff, but I got this is what it is right now. So I've done like so many different designs. There's ones that like go through the holes right here, but then you're gonna have to punch out the rubber, or you're gonna have to rip the rubber off, which is like, who wants to deal with that? Sometimes it comes off easy, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
I'm really I was trying to think of something that would just be able to like slide and you just place on there, right? Like something easy to use.
Yeah, a lot of
the other part is I try to make a rail system to go along here. The problem is like the Molex is right on the edge, so there's nothing to grab there, right? So when you try to slide it in, it'll just catch it every time. And same with some of the capacitors too, like this set of capacitors right here, these two right here, which my camera's not.
Yeah, there's some that are like right on the edge of the board. The Molex has to be like literally right on the edge because of the plugs for Molex have like it's like a pinch clip. I don't know what it's actually called, but it goes right up against it so that when you pinch it, it pushes it out. You know what I mean? So it has to be like right on the edge.
So I was playing with like having actually like a whole thing where you just slide it in and it just like a rail system. But the problem is so many things are close to the edge that there's really not much of an edge left to even grab. So you have to like put it in, particular places, right, where you have, a place to where it could actually hold it. So prototyping a little bit, and I've been messing with the depth of the which my light's probably messing that up, but yeah.
Oh, there it is. There's the logo.
Yeah, that part's been the hardest, right? Because 3D printing, when it prints this logo first, and then it does everything over it, right? So what will happen is there's technically nothing to support this when it starts printing over it. You know what I mean? Like when it prints this line to go over this, like at an angle, there's nothing there to grip it. So I've been working with the depth, making it a little less, because if I make it too deep, it gets like really, it just gets like, it kind of just gets chunky, and it doesn't look that good. So, and then I did a test bench with,
I think that's like the prime thing. As soon as I saw that thing is so cool. That is literally so cool.
So it's a test bench. It's not screwed in or anything right now. I got to go get the screws for it. So I just printed it. I still have to mess with it. So I had a few ideas for the bench. This is for a micro ATX, by the way. So
is that where the power supply is held on the bottom, King? That one piece?
No, it's this is one piece.
But that's where the power supply like goes in.
Yeah, so you can see.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah, very cool.
You can see the mounting holes.
So, King, I have a question. So, when you actually put for the routing of the cables, are you going to put it through the holes and make sure there's enough room for like the A pins, or is it going to be routed on the outside to the inside?
I have not. I've been just really busy. I haven't even mounted a motherboard to it yet. Right,
Okay.
I still need to do that. I haven't actually used it yet, so I need to put a power supply in there and the motherboard and like set it all up and see how everything fits. Something I was thinking about doing that's going to get a little. I don't know if I want to go down that road, right? Because technically the meter boxes are not UL certified. You know what I mean? So I was thinking about incorporating like a meter box on one of the legs, or maybe I just put an arm bracket coming off to where it would hold like an Elmore's Lab meter, right? Which I don't have to worry about the UL certified, which I don't even know if that's even UL certified or not, if the Elmore's Labs is or not.
That's like a peripheral. I think this is my opinion, but having like, you don't need a whole box, you know what I mean? You just kind of need a pass through for the meter reader, and kind of have the power cord kind of connect.
I guess I could skip the box part, but then the cables are just going to be there to where you could see them, which
Yeah.
I don't know how clean that would look like. I can just make an insert to where you would just put the plates in, right? You know, you'd put like the actual Drock meter in there and have a mounting point for the outlets. But then you're just going to see wires behind there, so I don't know how well people would like that. That's why I was thinking of a meter box, but
Yeah.
the only real way to make that UL certified is to actually use a junction box, which I do have right there behind me where I'm pointing is an actual meter box my buddy made me with a real junction box. Hey, what's up, little man?
I'm sorry. I stopped listening to you because you got Little Hawk in the background. So I'm just staring at him. He's
Look at that,
just
man. Look,
enjoying-
he even look. Is that
enjoying
gel in his
life
hair?
right there,
Did he
man.
put gel in his hair or something?
No, his hair is oily. I have to get my bath.
Hey,
Looking
little
good.
jet.
I was
Looking good.
like, look, man, he's getting his son all dressed up for the camera and everything. Look at that.
Yeah.
Has he had any of that delicious rigatoni yet, Mike?
No.
Not yet.
Dude, he's got
One-
kung fu grip.
Yeah.
Heck yeah, man.
Oh man, that's
All right.
awesome.
It's like a
All right,
serious
all right,
car
all right.
seat.
Just go ahead and throw up right now in your dad's car. He'll love you.
Here, hold the phone.
Oh man. But yeah, just working on products. Vistan gave me a great breakdown on 3D printing, prototyping, and injection molds today. We had like a good, like probably 45-minute conversation on that. So
Yeah, 3D
he's
printing
actually
is
has lots of knowledge of product development.
Yeah, I've kind of looked at a bunch of different products in the crypto field, and I was telling King earlier when I had a good friend of mine's a mechanical engineer, but he also does drafting and CAD and everything like that. Anything from very small parts like little nuts and bolts, all the way to 6-foot scaffolding. He does kind of everything in between. He's the one that helped me design the Omega frame. And originally, the Omega frame was going to be a injection molded, frame basically that we could build for $30-$40, like a budget build. The reason why that never went through was one, all right, Mike. The cost of it to make overseas was far cheaper for sheet metal, more durable and everything, but one thing I didn't think about was the I guess there's polymer that's used, like ABS and something else. There's all these different types of plastics that you can injection mold with, but to withstand heat and stuff like that, you really have to mix it with something like I don't want to say a bonder, but I don't know what it was. It was a while ago. We really wanted to do an injection molded frame, and so I was talking to King a little earlier today, and injection molding's great for larger products, kind of like that test bench. And 3D printing is really good for prototyping and stuff like that, and even mass production of smaller products and stuff like that. But I think on an industrial scale, a lot of these places, at least from what I've seen from the manufacturing side, is that it's done to perfect a product, and once it's perfected, then you build a mold for it. And once you build a mold for it, I mean, they pop these things out quick. I think something the size of a box or something, like you said, a junction box over there where that's UL certified, something that size probably would cost maybe $150. Maybe at scale, and it's not even large scale. Once you have the mold, I mean, you could do small runs. There's these facilities.
Getting the mold though is the expensive part. Right? I remember Chump. I think he had a Kickstarter thing or something like that for the injection mold for the hangers. I remember
it's gonna be about 8 to 12 grand probably.
So that's the expensive part, is getting that initial mold actually done for whatever your product is.
Yeah.
Everything else is basically considered sense at that point after getting it done, depending how big it is, right?
Yeah.
But $8, $9, $10,000, $12,000. That's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money, but I mean the margins,
Yeah.
when you think about it, you know, like something the size of a frame, like the frames that we were looking at was just it was like a generic 12 GPU frame, but it was made out of, you know, plastic. It was, you know, we could probably sell something like that for, I don't know, $30 shipped. You know what I mean? And that's a high margin product. So, you know, test benches, you know, anything like that, you know, once it's at the stage of injection molding, you kind of have to like look at it from a supply and demand standpoint and say, you know, and that's what is beautiful about the 3D printing. You know, if you could print out 100 of these things of just, you know, product ABC and they sell, you know, then you can have like a proof of concept and you know that there's going to be demand for it. Then you can go into the molding side of it, get it molded and kind of accelerate your return on the mold. You know what I mean? As long as there is a demand for it, that's a big thing.
Right.
But those test benches, I know that there's a large demand for those. I know we talked about it earlier. There's, you know, that's a product I would buy. That's a product I think a lot of the viewers would buy too.
There's a few people that hit me up that said that they would like one. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
A lot of them said they wanted like particular colors. So I'm gonna let you know right now, I am not printing like 12 different colors. You know how much of a pain it is to change colors on a 3D printer that often? No, I'm out. It'll probably be like 1 or 2 colors is probably what I'll do. Or maybe it might just all be black. Or maybe a gray. That way if you guys wanted to paint it like paint in a color, right? Like spray paint it, you guys can spray paint it because I could use like the gray could be like a primer color.
Yeah.
But I got some hits on the test bench right now. I want to work on it a little bit more. Like right now, I think so I have 3 printers, right? They're all Ender 3 V2. So to print that out it's 4 prints. So that means I have to use all the machines first, let them all print, which is about 15 hours. And look, I'm still learning about the 3D printing, right? I know Retro Mike has lots of experience. He's kind of giving me some tips on how to fine tune it and stuff like that. Like he even said like you should have like this little Raspberry Pi that you can plug in and that has a camera so you can watch it remotely. So if you check your camera and it starts to, maybe you need to increase the temperature, you know what I mean, of how the filament's coming out, or you need to slow down the speed, you could do it on the fly remotely. Which was kind of neat. But yeah, I'm definitely learning. It takes me about a day, a full 24 hours to print one test bench right now, just because I only have like 3 machines right now. So I think if I got into that though, like if there was a good demand for them, I'd probably buy another machine at least. That way I could print all 4 parts at once. Reduce the production time. So
I think Goat said the problem with molding is holding stock. Printing could be printing on demand. You know, there's a very big pro to that. It's
that's kind of what I'm gonna do if I sell this stuff. You know what I mean? Like I'll take pictures and stuff like that, and if I do it, it's gonna be a print on demand. Where you're not ever holding stock. So that's the other thing too, is like when you do like something with China, right, and injection molding, you're gonna have to buy like, I'm assuming like 1,000, 5,000, 10,000 units at a time.
Yeah. The key really with injection molding, at least this is my opinion, is that it gets so cheap once you have the mold that you might as well do it stateside. You know, the price difference, just say the price difference on a box like this big, right? Is maybe going to be 20 cents between, the US and China. And when you're talking about margins that, you're talking about dollars, for margins, sometimes, $20, $30 and stuff like that, you might as well have it or injected here. What's big in China is the injection mold, the actual mold is making the mold in China, and then they can ship it over here. Now, some companies have stipulations like, we'll make the mold for you for $4,000, but you have to print everything over here and we got to ship it. And the problem with that, actually with like test benches and stuff, and the way that we were designing the frames, is it would just be a flat like surface. Like it would only be like this thick, but it would be like this big, but it would be easy to ship. everything coming from China, it doesn't matter how much it weighs. I mean, it does, but it's like, it's a pallet on a container on a ship. You know what I mean? It's all volumetric weight. But I think the key with it is just buying the mold over there and having free use of the mold and having it shipped over here and then giving it to an injection mold company. And then I don't want to say it's on demand, but there are MOQs for it. But you could say, hey, I need 1,000 of these made, 500 red, 500 blue, and they'll print them, and you'll have them within a week or two. And it's really, really easy to do, and it keeps it stateside here. But yeah, long story short, the tangent, it's the mold is really the key here. But I got some people in the lobby. I'm going to add Hawk here. He's got
now you want to add me.
And I'm also
Sitting
going
here
to
for
add a
15.
newcomer to the stream here. So first time coming onto the stream. We have Mr. Blue Dragon Mining.
Oh, there he is.
There's Terra Hosting.
There is. That is. If for everyone in the chat, this is Ben. I don't know if some people want their. Okay. Ben, Blue Dragon Mining. He is our director of sustainability for Terra Hosting. So I've been kind of bugging him to come online for probably a couple of weeks now, right, Ben?
Yeah. Until now, I hadn't quite worked out, but I got the boys to bed, and everything's good to go now.
Okay. Yeah, we were just talking about injection molding and everything that King's doing. I know we were just on a call a little bit prior to the live stream. So, but Ben, do you miss having a children as young as Baby Hawk?
Yes.
Yeah.
Little bit easier. I've got a 3 and now 6-year-old.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, has he been moody today, Mike, or is he?
No, he's just tired.
Yeah.
He likes it when I walk around with him. He doesn't like being stationary.
Yeah. Okay.
He'll be all right. He's all right.
Well, yeah.
He's in charge of the HR department.
Yeah, all your complaints can come here. We'll get back to you in about 18 years.
Yeah, Terra Hosting has an extensive HR department currently, so.
Yeah, it's great.
We have a book like this.
Funnel all your complaints here. And it's amazing.
But yeah, no, I was gonna actually have Ben on and talk about a little bit about what you do at Terra Hosting and being the director of sustainability. What is sustainability?
Ooh.
And what the overall plans are for what you envision Terra being as a sustainable company down the line.
Well, I mean, sustainability has a couple of different functions. One is on the power side, you want to eliminate or try to diversify your power so you're not reliant on one path. You also want it to where it's not has susceptible to wild swings. So if it's a energy source that is like gas, it's susceptible to market conditions. So it goes up and down in pricing. Nuclear is very more straightforward. It's a pretty constant. The only thing changes is usually taxes or like if they have to do overhaul, you get like some maintenance fee or added cost of that type. But adding in different energy mixes, so solar, wind, and they're not reliable. They get you a break in pricing. They help offset some of your usage, and that's the point, is you're offsetting your 24-hour usage by putting in a little mixture of different things. And then of course there's, depending on where you are in the world, geothermal might be a really good idea in terms of energy source. There's other types of energies besides solar and wind. But on the other flip side of sustainability, it's what do you do with excess heat? And I've been kicking around brainstorming for a while, and I've seen a couple of different things where there's actually data centers up in Europe, northern section of Europe, and they actually incorporated taking the heat, and they literally just pump the heat out of the data centers across into their own greenhouses. So they had a problem with keeping greenhouses warm enough, and they were using other energy sources to heat the greenhouses. Well, data centers produce heat as a byproduct, and so they're actually pumping that heat into the greenhouse so they can grow year-round in cold climates. So things like that, where you can take the heat directly off the data centers or off the units to put them to use for other things. If you go to hydro cooling, with water cooling, with the hydro cooling, if you're able to set up a type of system like that, you can take the heat off of that, which usually runs between 160 to 165 degrees Fahrenheit. And if you have enough units or enough water piping coming off of that, you can use that for other industrial things. I've heard about fish hatcheries. There's a fish hatchery up in Pennsylvania that has done that. They use the heating off of Bitcoin miners to heat their the giant fish hatcheries, so they don't have to use other energy for that. So there's a lot of different concepts that are being experimented on right now and utilized in there. So if for industrial setting, if you can get water to 160, 165 degrees, and you have a use to heat water up for other purposes, that cuts down on your energy use for that. So there's a lot of byproduct usage that's a crossover that can be used with sustainability. So it's not just energy, it's also what you do with heat or cooling and reusing it or repurposing it for other things to cut cost for other industries. Or if you expand into other industries, maybe you have multiple industries going on, which mining might just be one piece of that puzzle.
Yeah, we're I think you were talking with a bourbon distillery, right, in Indiana?
Yes. Well, I was reaching out through a contact with them because my contact and I were talking about it. And there's actually a use for that. I'm trying to. They never responded, but I'm trying to get other avenues as well. So there's more than one distillery, but I know just from the process alone, they have to keep their they have to heat up the vats. So with hydro cooling, you could heat up have the water heated up for them, and then all they do is add a little bit more energy to finish heating it up the rest of the way, which saves them money and time. But there's a lot of different industrial settings in which hot water can be utilized.
Yeah, no, it's amazing to think about, really, because it's like, it's hard. I've been born and raised in Florida. I lived in Orlando for a while. It was too cold. I moved back. And,
oh my God, Mike! No, stop! Stop! Just stop, please. Just stop.
And
oh my God.
there's too much. It's so hard to think about, I guess, that there could be a byproduct for heat. You know what I mean? It's like, in my head, it was always like, with crypto mining, I've been doing it since 2016. It was always like, all right, AC is running 24/7 regardless. It's like, what do you do with this heat other than spew it outside? Nothing outside needs heat. If you blow more heat at it, it's gonna die or start a fire. So it was like, it's always kind of been like this thing. But then once we met Ben and me and Mike, we flew up to Indiana and met you, started talking about this stuff. And at first I was like, this is, I don't know, why do you need heat? Like, you just go outside, it's hot. But then you started talking about the greenhouses, and you started talking about like all this other stuff. I'm like, this actually makes a ton of sense. I never thought that there'd be like a byproduct from this stuff that you can actually use, for sustainability wise. And I think it's amazing. I'm sure we've spoken a little bit about it. We're working on an Indiana location right now. It has a couple issues, that we're dealing with a couple different government agencies, but we're working through it. I think we might get a good deal. It looks like we lost Hawk, but the thing that Ben was talking about, it was basically having these data center layouts, whether it's a data center, whether it's POW mining or proof of useful work or AI or whatever it is. There's a byproduct of heat because there's electric there. And then right next to it, you could just have these greenhouses. People pay a lot of money to heat these greenhouses. And I think, King, you mentioned you're kind of familiar with these greenhouses too. Growing up, you worked in some greenhouses, right?
Oh man, he's bringing back the old
well, I'm
stories.
Just saying,
yeah,
you're familiar, right? They had to heat these things.
Yeah, my dad had a greenhouse. It was bigger than our facility, and it was probably almost twice the size of our current facility of 7,000. So I think it was like around like 12,000. It was pretty big. And yeah, I worked in there as a kid. My dad grew tomatoes hydroponically locally in the area. He sold to like Bruce Chris and a lot of high-end restaurants in the Seattle area and stuff like that. So now he chose to not do the heating, and the reason for that is at the time because of energy costs, right? He would not go 24/7 all year round. He would just start in the early spring and go until, you know, mid to late fall till it got too cold, right? And then he had to close down. So because that was the side thing. He worked at Boeing for 40 years, but yeah, the heating is very expensive to be able to heat the greenhouse through the winter months.
Yeah, so using a byproduct like that is, everyone looks at the kWh rate, the kilowatt hour rate. But if you have byproduct and everything like that coming from it too, then you have multiple different, revenue streams that you're looking at, because, business A, which would be mining, might have a slightly higher elevated rate compared to, BFE, Washington State in the middle of nowhere. But next to that, if you have a greenhouse that can operate, using, fixed heating costs of $4,000 or $5,000 a month sometimes for these things, and you can eliminate that, then all of a sudden it makes that business more profitable. It makes the overall enterprise, profitable, and super, super interesting stuff. And
I think it would be better to do something like a distillery, right? Because when you get to the spring and summer months, the greenhouses actually need to cool off, right? So you wouldn't be able to offset said heat anymore to the greenhouses anymore. So I was trying to get Red Panda. I don't know if you watched this when his house was being built. He had that sauna room, right? That was like kind of old and broken down. I told him to take all of his mining heat and make a sauna room that was powered by miners, man. I thought that would have been cool, but
yeah, I mean, there's
the RPM spa. There you go. See?
I don't know if anyone's seen it, but the Linus Tech Tip, he had a video a few months ago where he took, he has a server room. He had a pool outside, and he had the water cooling for the servers to pump the heat out through a heat exchanger out and around the pool to heat the pool as well. And so it also tied into, because he was using the water as well to cool the solar panels so they would be more efficient, and that heat would come off of there and would heat the pool as well. There was like two sections of pooling, or tubing in the pooling area to heat it up. So he had a giant swimming pool, and so basically he was cooling down his servers using that type of system. And it's things to think about. There's been a couple of YouTubers I've seen who heated their pools with their miners.
Yeah.
And it's just, one of those things, if you have a need for it, or, Sonic would do, there's a lot of different things. If you have access to geothermal, you can use geothermal to cool your miners, because that's year round. You can exchange the heat for cooling. That works. I mean, there's a lot of options. It just depends on where you're at and what you want to do. So there's, just figure those things out and tie them together.
And when you could combine that like into a package, like it's not just a data center company or proof of work or AI, like all these, words that you could throw out that you do, but if you could package that with a renewable side like greenhouses or whatever byproduct that you want to do, looking at it from like a political standpoint, it's a lot easier to enter these markets. It's a lot easier to go to these cities and say, this is what we're doing. We have been doing it. It's worked here and everything like that. And I think it's more attractive to, these local municipalities and everything to have a company like that come in and do that and replicate their already existing business model. So there's a ton of sustainability that can, I feel like the more power usage and the more, I'm not much of a greeny type guy, but like, the more carbon, footprint that you have, the more power that you use and everything like that, I feel like the more opportunity that you have for the sustainable side of it, and also from a business standpoint, it also lowers costs, right? I mean, like I said before, you might be paying a little bit more on electric, but if you're using the byproducts appropriately in other businesses, then it might lower the overall average cost of that business, and the overall enterprise might be lower. So,
and different state. You gotta look at your states on the green energy deals.
There we go.
So some states, a couple of states will actually pay you for the energy you produce. Most states that I've seen, if they have deals, it's usually credit and it's either you use it or lose it.
Yeah.
Type deal. But you have to look state by state. So you have to do what makes sense for that state. So some states incentivize solar more than wind, depending on where they are. And there's other types of renewables as well. But you have to look at what you're offered in your area to see what you're incentivized to do. And a lot of business will follow the money. If it makes sense, they'll do it. If they have giant roof areas, slapping on some solar panels to generate and offset costs, they get credit for it to lower their overall bill. It makes a lot of sense. But if they don't have any incentive to do it, it doesn't really make sense to dish out a lot of money for that.
Yeah, exactly, and it positions the company well. Like I said, politically, if someone comes in and they put a moratorium on Bitcoin mining, you'd be like, no, we grow tomatoes. We just use Bitcoin mining to heat the tomato. Not exactly like that, but you know what I mean. It's a more well-rounded business that can encompass a bunch of different things. So,
hey, King, he's talking politics.
I know. I'm getting tired already.
Are you?
I'm not talking politics. So you know what I mean. There's some states out there that
maybe
don't like
there could
business.
Be a Terra bourbon in the future, right?
Oh my god.
But,
Terra. Every day Terra. Terra this, Terra that.
Well,
hey, Mike, you have a minute to talk? Yeah, I'm in the shower. Go ahead. So with Terra, I mean, it's just every 5 minutes, man. Oh my god. But that's how it goes when you build a company, right? Everything's about it. We're at if we're all agreeing, if we're not all agreeing, we're at each other's throats, and that's how you know we're moving forward. So it's pretty good. Dave is gonna be our new director of wires.
There you go. You just gotta make. I feel like we're in a Terra meeting that I popped in by mistake.
No, this is way too calm for that.
No. Yeah, it's way too calm. Nobody's yelling. I haven't stormed off.
It's quiet right now.
Quiet, yeah.
So let me ask you guys this. Let me change it up a bit. What do you guys think about the recent rally in crypto? What do you think is causing this right now?
ETF is causing the Bitcoin pump. It's a little artificial in my opinion. It's going to drop a little bit more. But it's good though. It's showing signs. This is part of the cycle. It goes up, it goes down. I think the news with the ETF and Wall Street money getting into it is throwing a lot of confidence in the market, generally speaking. And I think that's what's causing we're over 30K. When's the last time we were over 30K?
It's causing a buzz.
It's been a while.
Basically.
I'm trying to pull this.
It's causing a buzz right now. So
yeah, you also have the Fed. Bernanke came out and he said rates will go up, and that's also, it adds a little bit more to what you're talking about with what's going on with the big money, the ETFs trying to it all plays in. There's a lot of
there's going to be
game in this.
We are starting to see what regulation in Bitcoin would look like. Okay, now you got stock ETFs coming out. A lot of people are starting to throw money into it. You got Schwab and Fidelity now. They created an exchange. Okay.
That's what I think the biggest thing is
that's huge. Like, you guys have to understand how big this is. This is huge. This is what we want without the regulatory BS. Okay. We want that money to come into Bitcoin. Okay. We want that VC money to buy into Bitcoin. Why? It's going to drive the price up.
Yeah. You want 401ks to be buying Bitcoin and Ethereum and all these top blue chip stocks. Like this is something that really hasn't happened before. Like you were saying, Mike, like Schwab and Fidelity and these companies coming in. I mean, there's been ETFs, right? But there hasn't been like actual like companies like this, huge investment firms come in and back this stuff. It's always been these one-off exchanges.
The fact that they're making an sorry, King, go ahead.
I'll say my question is that, because I'm familiar with Schwab and Fidelity, like they made an exchange, right? So my question is how are they able to make an exchange and be approved for it with so much going on right now and so much unclarity?
Because they're in the club.
So you just heard it correctly.
That's what I'm saying.
You just heard it correctly.
They're there though.
Right.
Yeah.
It's exactly that. That's exactly the answer. They're in the club. They have ins at the SEC. They've already cleared their path, and they said, "Hey, guys, by the way, we're going to create this crypto exchange, and just for Bitcoin, obviously, right now. But this is what we're going to do." And the SEC is going to be like, "No, go ahead. We already labeled that it's a commodity. It's not a security. Have at it." Right? If it's solely offering Bitcoin at this moment, they will expand it. But commercial investment into Bitcoin is where we want it to be. That's what we want. And it's going to be good, man. It's going to be big. And it's going to drive the price of Bitcoin. And listen, look, if they stay solely at Bitcoin and it drives the price up, it's going to be good for the rest of the market because a lot of the market reacts to Bitcoin 100%. Anyway. So they don't have to sell anything else for it to benefit us. You know what I mean? So we want that. Listen, Fidelity and Schwab are, you know, all these major firms, you know, like I go back to what's his name, that what was that biggest Ponzi scheme, what was his name, Madoff, Bernie Madoff, right? Let me show you how tight that group is. Bernie Madoff, for 15 years, okay, he was on the short list for the SEC chairman. He basically created the NASDAQ. Somebody went to the SEC with evidence that he was frauding people for 15 years and they ignored it because he was in the cool kids club. I'm being honest. When you get into the point I'm trying to make is when you're in the cool kids club, you get a pass. It's the truth. You get a pass.
That's right.
And they're getting a pass.
Decent palms and people, you know, right? Corruption at its finest, right?
It's always been like, is it corruption if it's always been like this? I don't know.
I mean, is it corruption, or is it just, hey, they're you know, Schwab and Fidelity are already stock exchanges and they've already have a proven track record of, you know, keeping in line with the guidelines. You know what I'm saying? Now that Bitcoin has been already kind of has this guide already with it, they can offer it and still be in line with the SEC, and the SEC is really not going to have a problem. On top of that, they're in the cool kids club too, so they're not going to get any blowback. So,
right.
You know,
so technically, if Coinbase is doing exactly what this exchange is doing, then everything's cool then.
Well, no,
because
no,
then they can't go after one and not the other, right?
No. Coinbase is offering things that are arguably either securities or commodities. So there's a problem there. Coinbase has no clarity on how to trade what is considered a security on their exchange. This is why they're in lawsuits. Okay, when you're just selling Bitcoin and that's the only thing you're selling at the point, then that's already been cleared up. There's really no regulatory clarity that you really need. It's already been labeled as such by the SEC and they're going to monitor it. So when you're offering other things that are not, people don't even know whether they're a security and that there's a big arguments about it, this is where it gets sticky, and this is where they're going to need regulatory clarity on these other projects. But if you're just selling Bitcoin and the exchange is just for Bitcoin, then you know you're good, because it's been around. There's ETFs that are already being approved through the stock market and these investment firms. So creating an exchange is no problem because it's already on the market level. Bitcoin's already been affected by the stock market probably for the last 4 to 5 years, and nobody's really even known it because they invest on it privately. They'll have another fund that nobody knows about that'll buy Bitcoin privately. They've already been investing in it. Now it's just they're able to do so, and they're probably able to insure their investments to a certain point now. So, you know, now we're going to see price discovery. Now we're going to see real price discovery if commercial money gets into it.
This was all a plan. I think
it's going to be it's going to be like a night and day difference now. Everything is going to change.
It's good for us.
Yeah. So
like
for us, it's good. Yeah.
But there's going to be money coming in.
I'm sorry, it says Bitcoin, Ether, Litecoin, and Bitcoin Cash, which is interesting because the SEC
none
classified
of which
ETH as security.
Yeah, none of which were claimed. No, they didn't. Ethereum is not labeled a security, and that was already cleared by the SEC.
I thought
that's 100% correct. And it says it right here in your article. It says the EDX exchanges allow trading of Bitcoin, Ether, Litecoin, and Bitcoin Cash, none of which were named crypto asset securities. It's right in your article that you just pulled up. You don't have to Google it.
Yeah,
it's right in your article.
That's interesting.
It's in your article. Read your article. It's in front of you.
No, I know, but it was the Ethereum proof of stake. Let me look it up.
No, that's not what it was considered. The U.S. had jurisdiction because over 60% of the Ethereum nodes were on U.S. soil. That's why the U.S. claimed jurisdiction over it. And there was an argument about it, but it was already cleared up that they're not labeled a security, which is complete BS because it's probably Vitalik that bought into some politicians and some bullshit. Somebody probably made a phone call and said, hey, they're not a security, leave it be. And that's probably what happened. Really, that's really probably what happened, because Ethereum, I don't know if they're really close. They run borderline with the Howey test. They should be labeled a security for what they offer. But hey, what do I know? I'm just 2,800 subs and stupid crypto miner.
But
so stupid.
But I mean, yeah, that's big money is going to come into it. Like when I talk to my dad's financial advisor and stuff like that, he's always said the reason that they don't do it is because it's not there's no security behind the investment, right? That's why he can't recommend Bitcoin or anything like that. So with big companies like Fidelity and Schwab coming in here, yeah, there's going to be a lot of people publicly buying Bitcoin now. I have a feeling.
Right.
But I still think it's going to go a little sideways though in this bear market though.
It
could.
might be
Ethereum's got themselves aligned with politicians, guys. I mean, they've aligned themselves so well. Okay, and props to their leadership. They played the game. They played ball. Okay, and they realized that, hey, we're not going to beat them. We're going to join them. And we're going to be billionaires, and that's how that's going to go, right? So that's how that's going to happen. Litecoin and Bitcoin, two of the oldest, right? Litecoin being one of the oldest. It follows the same rules. And Bitcoin Cash, I'm actually surprised about Bitcoin Cash, but it's been picking up steam, so it got added to that list.
Yeah,
but no,
this
they're
might
not
be
labeled
because of their staking
securities.
program. You might be right. It might be because Coinbase offered the staking program for Ethereum.
What's up, Pat?
What's going on, Pat?
Welcome.
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, of course.
So Pat will probably back up a lot of what I'm saying with actual facts. I just know the front end stuff. Pat will give you the back end stuff.
Well, I guess the most exciting development is to see that CZ is going to be, his co-accused, which is SBF. So it's SBF is going to testify against CZ in the money laundering and the misappropriation of funds. So it's going to be a really interesting trial. Basically, SBF will get a minimum sentence in exchange for burying CZ.
He blames CZ for the failure of FTX because CZ never bought FTX out. So they're kind of going at each other. They hated each other. They were attacking one another. Binance apparently was doing backdoor deals with some people, and now it's kind of backfired. Now they're on the spotlight, and FTX is going to trial. Look, here's my thing. I said this last time we spoke, Pat, right? If the SEC is doing their job correctly, then if they notice that Binance is doing stuff that's messed up with people's funds, they're doing their job correctly, whether that be through bullying or regulatory tactics. That's just what it is. If the SEC ended up being right, then I'm not going to be totally upset at their enforcement actions with some of these exchanges. I'm not. I'm just going to be honest. I'm not. You got to give and take a little bit. You can't be totally mad at what they've been doing. If Binance being the biggest exchange company in the world, who has probably 100 or plus more different platforms and stuff that they support for off-ramping, if they're messing with people's funds, then yeah, they should be held accountable, 100%.
Right. Of course.
Don't mean to interrupt, but I'm gonna head out. So my Chinese just got here, so I'm gonna go eat my Chinese food.
Nice. Staying on the health plan. Beautiful.
Enjoy dinner, man.
Yep.
Thanks for stopping
Enjoy
by.
dinner.
Good evening, King.
All right, you guys have
Nice
a good
seeing you,
night.
King.
Take it easy, man.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
Anytime, King. I think that this stuff is all very interesting. Seeing these people come in, I've been saying this for years, is that you need to have like names come in. You know what I mean? You have all these exchanges and all of them sound great. They put their names on, arenas in Miami and everything like that. But what you really need is well-established companies, and seeing Schwab and Fidelity and everything like that come in is very...
They could have... Right, I agree with you. It's great. They could have came in a lot earlier, but when the clarity came out that Bitcoin was I guess it got labeled a commodity, and when it doesn't fall into the securities regulation, this is when they said, oh, sweet. It's like selling water. We got it.
Yeah.
And that's how they're looking at it. And if you think other crypto exchanges were KYC, wait till you have to give them your social. So it's going to be very interesting to see how many people actually go onto this exchange and what's going to be the. But I think honestly, I think this exchange is going to be for hedge funds. I think the majority. Yeah, I think hedge funds are going to start buying into Bitcoin through this exchange. We're going to see, if this takes off, we're going to see significant price discovery by the end of the year. Not financial advice. That's just me personally. If they're opening up to hedge funds.
I think that there's going to be more.
Well, it could take about a year or two just to list this
with this exchange than any other exchange. I think that there's going to be more individuals that are on this EDX crypto exchange compared to Coinbase, compared to anything else, because it opens the door to people that don't necessarily understand it. Going to just a random person on the street that doesn't understand crypto and saying, hey, open a Coinbase account, hey, buy this coin, do this coin, rather than just having regular everyday 401ks or IRAs that automatically invest a fraction of a percent into Bitcoin or Litecoin or whatever, however they set this up. I think that there's going to be just tons of retirement funds, tons of pensions, tons
100%.
of all these things that flow into this that are just in the background. And what that really is going to do is that's Bitcoin and a lot of these currencies that are listed that are going to be there are deflationary currencies. There's not like the US dollar where you could just be like, well, we need more money, let's print it and make everyone else's shit worth less. So it's going to create a demand for all of this because there's not going to be as much supply, or the supply is going to be locked up compared to what it is now. I think that this is a huge turning point for crypto as a whole.
I think so too. I think this is the second step we're going to see towards regulation coming down the pipe. So like Pat said, it's going to be interesting to see what happens and how the market reacts. And well, no, but boys, I have to go. I got to give the little one a bath. I'll probably be on later playing some Diablo. So I appreciate it. You guys enjoy.
All right,
Pat,
Mike, take it
rip
easy,
him a
man.
new
Thanks
one
for
and give them
stopping
the
by.
facts. Rip him a new one, Pat. Give him the facts.
Yeah.
I'll see you guys later.
All right.
Talk to you later, Mike.
So Pat, where do you see this stuff going in the next couple weeks? What's your take on it?
Well, so the market is certainly a little bit too forward thinking here in assuming that this ETF is even going to be approved this year. If it is, it's only by the magic that BlackRock possesses to make that happen. Currently, hedge funds internationally get exposure, or like a factor exposure, towards Bitcoin through the BITO ProShares Bitcoin ETF.
Mm-hmm.
And you can go long and you can short, you can use leverage. So that's currently how they're doing it. But I would just like to highlight that regardless of who gets this first listing, whether it's Vinex, Fidelity, there's a whole host of applicants. I guess BlackRock would just be the most noteworthy. But it's no coincidence that FTX goes down. Now he's being extradited to the United States, and now magically he's going to have charges dropped and a reduced jail sentence. And then magically this deal was offered in rapid succession to CZ's Department of Justice indictment being released. And now obviously they're looking for him in Malta, the unofficial headquarters of Binance. And many of the offshore jurisdictions have been closed. The walls are closing in. This rally that we saw today is nothing more than Binance using its inherent relationship with Tether to print Tether out on loan and then buy BNB coin. So CZ sells Bitcoin to buy BNB coin. This is his last ditch effort to keep the exchange afloat. Their current only expansion after this lawsuit is plans to relocate to Kazakhstan, where much of the sanctioned Russian hash rate is currently. So all this is really doing is catering to the sanctioned miners globally on a nation state, a sovereign level.
Why Kazakhstan? Do you say? You said that it's their. You're saying that that's where CZ is gonna to run his operations out of that country as an exchange.
They just expanded. So they just got kicked out of all the UK. So there's 14 offshore jurisdictions for UK, whether it's Isle of Man, where they have that motorcycle race, right? There's a whole host of these offshore jurisdictions. And Kazakhstan is one of the many ex-Soviet nations that technically have remain sovereign and remain its own country. But we all know that really, they're not really sovereign, right? I mean, the Russian influence is certainly prevalent. And so many of these neighboring countries to Russia act as a gateway not only for the transit of sanctioned oil, Russian Urals, as they're called, to get that to Europe through a Kazakhstan company. Now it's Kazakh oil, it's not Russian oil. Well, the same strategy's been used for a long time with Russian mining companies headquartered just one country over from Russia.
Yeah, the Middle East has
So
been doing
now
it for a while. Iran has been going around sanctions for a while with massive mining farms.
Exactly, and yeah, interesting enough, Venezuela just put a stop to their sovereign wealth fund version of a Bitcoin operation because the United States gave Chevron, Total in France, and Eni in Italy exclusive exemptions from the sanctions so that they can export the oil. Chevron to the United States and Total and Eni off to Europe. And I guess some type of backdoor deal that must have been done is you need to stop mining Bitcoin right now to get access to dollars. We'll give you access to dollars again, but just stop. So,
I think, like we said earlier, it's a big club and everyone's partying in it, and no one else is invited.
Right.
You just got to get invited to the club, and then you're good.
Do you really want to be in the club, though, Dave?
No,
Yeah, exactly.
I don't want to get invited to that club.
Exactly.
So this overall ETF and democratization and standardization of crypto as an asset class, it's legitimized as of now, certainly. And what's going to happen is all of us miners now that are mining and holding and remaining operational are going to be able, in say 2 to 3 years, to be able to sell our mined crypto on something similar, if not entirely, the New York Stock Exchange.
Yeah.
And it's going to be very interesting because you're going to have these two parallel universes that are going to form this centralized traditional finance as well as the decentralized exchanges. So it's going to be fascinating. But one thing is for sure that we will be selling at a much larger premium than we're originating it today.
Yeah. I agree with you on that.
And as you said, pension funds galore will be dumping their money into this. And this is the venue that they can do it. They couldn't use FTX.
The reason why I think there's going to be so much investment in this, especially Schwab, Fidelity, BlackRock, all these big names that are coming into it, there's going to be so many investors in it because the investors that are invested in it don't know that they're invested in it. You know what I mean? It's just a part of the portfolio, and that's really even if it's just a fraction of something. You know what I mean? It's you're gonna talk to Nancy who's 85 years old. And, oh, do you have Bitcoin? What's a Bitcoin? But she has $100,000 worth of it inside of her her pension or her retirement fund or whatever it is, because it's a part of these things now. And it's going to be
now there is an inherent danger with that I should definitely bring up to you guys here. So with the global markets being passive strategies almost exclusively, so 75% of global market volume is done through exchange traded funds. So it's through factor exposures. So there's an oil ETF, there's a gold mining ETF, what have you, right? So what's happening, what could happen here is, well, what makes BlackRock so powerful beyond just the assets under management is when you buy an ETF, for the convenience of not selecting those individual companies yourself, and like I said, just buying, let's say, an oil factor exposure, you forfeit your rights to vote on corporate matters with your ownership of the shares. So what could happen here is, again, it depends on how they fix the custodial part of this whole operation. Whether they forego it completely or try to blend it in. I would assume that they want to have the voting powers of those ETFs, because let's just say 100 million inflows into this Bitcoin ETF. Well, now BlackRock, as the owner and custodian of the ETF, now has all the voting power of that 100 million worth of Bitcoin on the network. So whether it's an improvement proposal or something of that, BlackRock could leverage that, much like they do now with the C-suite executives, to push them in one direction or the other with the ETFs of other people's money voting power. So that is, I would say, the biggest weaponization that could take place here. Sorry.
And I agree with that, because it can be weaponized, because often these funds will liquidate and move around the most volatile assets first, right? They're not moving real estate and flipping real estate real quick when shit hits the fan.
Right.
Crypto is inherently very volatile, so they can sway all these things. But I think on the flip side of that, having companies like Schwab, Fidelity, BlackRock all involved with this stuff is, one, there's an open ledger, so there's accountability on what's going on. And two, because there is accountability here in the U.S., the SEC is going to be up their ass on everything like that too. So there is some sort of, I guess, accountability for it. Whereas right now you can have funds across the world that can dump $1 billion of Bitcoin and manipulate prices and do whatever they want with the markets, you know. But the more that you embed this and the more that you have the supply of these coins locked up, specifically Bitcoin, the less that the volatility will be there, you know what I mean? And it will create a more stable market, because instead of having open markets on Coinbase, Binance, Trade Ogre's a new one I've been figuring out about. That's been a RuneScape excitement adventure for me. But having these things locked up by these large companies will kind of slow that dramatic, you know, rise and fall of crypto prices. So I don't know, there's a lot of pros and cons to it, but overall, with having these companies in bed with this now, I think is a good thing. And I think good things will come from it, because decentralization of crypto is kind of up to the user, right? You know, if me and you, Pat, want to have a transaction between each other, we could do that and not have anyone else involved. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter if Schwab and Fidelity have these exchanges and BlackRock has all this Bitcoin held up. The privacy is still there as long as we don't use their mediums. You know what I mean? So,
Right.
I know I'm ranting.
No. Just to kind of circle back, just maybe if I wasn't clear. So it's the power that 100 million of inflows of Bitcoin generate, and what that allows the custodian to do with it, because most likely it's going to be held in street format, meaning you don't hold custody of it. It's actually the bank. And what is the power of 100 million worth of Bitcoin in one custodian's hand? What can they do with it? Can they leverage it and go bet against the clients, or can they use the voting power of that collection of Bitcoin all in one place to vote against other proposals? And that's the dangerous thing here. Just like with a small firm house, they did. BlackRock did the same thing with ExxonMobil. They actually forcibly removed someone from the board. Thought impossible until it was done to push these green agendas in Rockefeller's oil company. The irony. But this same thing could happen with crypto, right? It starts with one asset, a Bitcoin ETF, then it rapidly spreads into a collection of different, say Flux gets thrown in there, maybe Nexus, something like that, Ethereum. Now it's a grouping of the assets, attracting more inflows. And now all those holders wanting that factor exposure have foregone all the power that comes with self-custody of that crypto, leaving it for BlackRock to delegate and control in whatever manner they wish, which I'm sure there's a lot more nefarious activities going here than just the bid-ask spreads on the purchase and selling of
at least there's an open ledger for this. You know what I mean? Where the SEC is going to be up their ass on everything with compliance and everything. They're probably running the SEC. Right. You know what I mean? On what compliance rules need to be in place and everything like that. But at least with crypto, there's a ledger system. You know what I mean? They're not just saying, "Hey, I have this many shares," and it's like, do they have this many shares to lend out? Do they not? You know, what kind of futures are they going to be doing here, and what kind of all these different plays that they can do. At least that there will be, if they have $100 million worth of Bitcoin, at least that could be audited and people will follow it. You know what I mean? And if people aren't following it, then
the rampant fraud goes away, and it's a double-edged sword for sure.
Yeah, and they're going to have to be dealing with so many alphabet agencies, the FBI, CIA, with all the anti-money laundering that goes on with crypto and stuff like that. These exchanges, Schwab and Fidelity, they probably have board meetings with every alphabet agency we've ever heard of, you know what I mean? And making sure that they're in compliance.
The orange jumpsuit risk is too much for the average
exactly.
trader to
100%. But I could talk about this forever, Pat, but what do you guys think? What about you, Ben or Dave? What do you guys think about all this stuff?
I had a question. I was trying to remember because I remember SOT Sabotech talking about this before. Was it? I thought the hashing, the hash rate, those who own the hash rate in terms of that. I thought my understanding was that was the protocol. Those are the ones who have the voting. It's not just like you just isn't like just holding BTC gives you voting, right? I thought it was the hashing power, the ones who back up and who are the blockchain who back up the ledger. security of the blockchain, I thought they were the ones that had the voting right.
Well, I think for like staking and stuff like that, that's where, you know, if BlackRock owned 70% of Ethereum or something, and they had it all on one network type thing, where I think most of Ethereum nodes are on AWS. They could have some kind of control, but I think what Pat was talking about was market manipulation, having that much Bitcoin held.
Bitcoin itself, not Ethereum. Ethereum is a different beast.
Yeah, I think it's just being able to
Sorry,
change
no,
the
that's a
price.
great point. So if you don't mind me perhaps just asking a very open-ended question, obviously I don't know the exact decimal point on this, but who do you think owns the bonds of all the publicly traded mining companies? It wouldn't be hard to sway their opinions and get an easy minority or majority share, again, or sell their bonds to someone that no one will buy them. I mean, you know, again, they have very specific tool sets, and they're very easy leverage.
Yeah, if you own
so
enough
Venezuela's
of it,
Bitcoin operation was actually the same size as the average publicly traded American Bitcoin company.
Yeah.
So again, either you directionally using sanctioned infrastructure like Kazakhstan, Russia's, or Venezuela's, or you just bend the publicly traded companies to your whim, combined with owning the ETF. I mean, the possibilities are truly endless.
Yeah.
As the Sun Tzu, the Art of War would say, never interrupt your enemy when they're making a mistake.
let them talk. Yeah. It's a good point, Pat. It's a good point. What do you think, Dave?
I think that we have to see how it goes, honestly. I mean, we don't know what's going to happen with this, right? It seems good. I think it's a good idea, right? But it just seems to be a coincidence while everybody's getting sued or whatever, and then like, boom, here we go. We're going to be able to open this up for you guys, and we'll be investments ready to go, you know?
Yeah.
So it's just like there's so many things going on. There's so many moving parts from one side to another. It's like, hey, we're gonna be okay, but everybody else, they're no good, you know? And we have the rights, we can do this for you, but on the investment side, right? Like you were saying before, this is gonna be huge for us, you know, for us as miners or in Bitcoin and everything else around, because all these coins, basically Bitcoin's going up, everybody else is doing good too, right? So like BTC is like the key frame for everything for the most part, right? It's just my opinion. So I mean, yeah, sometimes you see other coins, they may be going, BTC's going down and the coins are, you know, a couple of them might be going up, right? But long term, as we have seen throughout the years, BTC goes up, everyone else is following suit. So I mean, it's just gonna be this is something different. This is something that's never happened before too, right? Just like this bear market, this is a different bear market than other ones because of other coins like coming out and doing things. It's just it's a new experience for all of us, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So it is kind of exciting at the same time too, right? The unknown, right? We all hoping for the best, and I think it's gonna, man. I think we're gonna have a good freaking bull run coming. Let me tell you, that's how I really feel.
Yeah. I think
The
Mike
question would
made
be when, I guess.
a good point with you know, even if it's Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, like it's all these major market cap coins that are being bought, and with that inherently all the other coins are going to go up with it as well, you know. People being able to buy crypto on these reputable exchanges and everything, like, I mean, Coinbase is reputable, right? But is it, sometimes it's like, okay, you know, we've seen Titans fall before. Seeing Fidelity and Schwab step in, it's like, okay, well, at least this is FDIC insured, you know what I mean? Like, you'll have some backing by the government, and I don't want to say it, but they're too big to fail, you know what I mean? So if the worst case happened and they were over leveraged and they did some, funky 2008 type fun stuff in the back doors, it won't really matter because we'll be okay. You know what I mean? Because these institutions, I'm not saying financial advice or anything like that, but like,
Right.
it's a lot more comforting having 20 grand worth of Bitcoin in Schwab than it is Binance. You know what I mean?
Well, I also think that anyone that had an idea or knows about BTC or whatever the case may be, right, is going to maybe dabble into it, knowing that they feel more secure. You're going to have a financial advisor talk to you or and speak to you. Hey, would you like to go into this a little bit? This has been a new thing and it seems to be going well, at your own risk, obviously, right? But they'll do the pros and cons. And I think people are just going to be more comfortable doing it that way, that are still like on the edge, that are not a miner or whatever the case may be. And you're going to see everything just start going up.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
Just to the names, right? So you're sometimes like it's the same thing as like you're going to do a little bit of finances for someone that right? You don't want to bank with this little bank that you never heard of because you're like, well, where's my money gonna go? It's the same thing with this too, right? So
Burn is saying Coinbase is
exciting.
FDIC insured. Yeah, no, I know that I don't know if it was it might be FDIC or it's the other one. It's something insured. But
Armstrong's been selling shares since the day Coinbase IPO'd. He is certainly not anybody here's friend. So I mean, why anybody would even? Anyway, Coinbase stock going to zero is not insured. That I can guarantee you guys.
Yeah, no, not Coinbase stock, but it's no, I know that they are insured by something. I don't know if it's FDIC. It might be, but I thought that there was a second one that's insured. But it's all fine and dandy until shit hits the fan type thing. Whereas these other institutions, like I was saying, are a lot more comforting. They're not. It's not like FTX or anything like that, or Mt. Gox or any. I mean, was Mt. Gox was Canadian? Was that? I don't know if it was, but there's been a lot of exchanges that have come and gone, and or FDIC only insures the U.S. deposits, not crypto. Yeah, that could be. That sounds a little. More right. So long story short, it'll be a lot more comforting having this stuff so intertwined with other commodities and other securities, for your everyday investor that wants maybe a little more risk in their portfolio, maybe not, you know what I mean? So it'll be interesting what to see. But I think that the rally that we're seeing right here is that I think it's also maybe a little bit of a precursor to what this Ripple case is going to come out to. I think the opinions coming out for this Ripple case that the SEC are going to have to abide by are going to be promising. I think this is all a precursor to it. But what do I know? I don't have my tinfoil hat on, but
not tonight.
Not tonight. Next Wednesday, Dave, I'll get my tinfoil hat.
Yeah.
I think what we all can agree on is we're certainly in a new renaissance for innovation, for projects, for miners, either building a portfolio or allowing new strategies except for just mining Ethereum. I think that there's going to be new chain. The best blockchains yet to been created. And even with these on and off ramps being taken away as well as built on top of their ashes in the form of traditional finance, this just does allow more flexibility, more optionality, and you're not going to be forced to buy BlackRock's ETF.
No,
there's still going to be this parallel universe where there's going to be the small exchanges, DEXs, new projects that are listing publicly. I think it's going to be, it's really a miner's market. Your success tomorrow is almost exclusively dependent on the work and the research and the outlook you take today.
Yeah.
And that's extremely fascinating.
Yeah, I think a little bit of centralization is a good thing, and I know I'll probably get knocked for that. But, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, because I remember Robinhood allowed crypto trading, right? But you weren't allowed to send the crypto off the exchange. It was centrally held on the exchange. I think that is what these companies are going to. Like EDX, I think you're probably going to be able to buy and sell on EDX, but I don't I would be very surprised if you could mine to a wallet on EDX, and I'd be very surprised if you could send it out of EDX to a cold wallet.
Yeah, they outsource the custodial to a third party.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're just gonna buy and hold it like in street form, like on Robinhood, where they actually own it, but you own it for the duration of that trade.
Yeah, you got a piece of paper saying that you own it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I think that's good. I wouldn't like that. I like all my stuff kind of like, hidden and held, and I'm sure like everyone on this stream and everyone watching this, I like it the way it's like cash. You know what I mean? Sometimes you just want to hold cash. And that's okay. You don't want to put it in the bank. You don't want to be able to move it around and stuff like that. But there are people that don't want the cash. They want it held there. They want all these green check marks saying that your funds are safe and everything like that. And I think, again, having Schwab there and Fidelity giving a thumbs up is going to be a big thing for Bitcoin and the crypto market as a whole.
I think it's exciting, honestly. It's exciting because there's so many things going on, projects, and we're moving forward, even though there's so many things going on that possibly may be negative, but at the same token, we are still progressing. We're moving forward, with everything when it comes to crypto.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just, time will tell.
Yeah, time will tell, but
I think it's
unfortunately,
exciting.
Binance was a horrible actor. They commingled funds. They did all kinds of illegal things, headquartered offshore. Anyway, that is not the spokesman for all of crypto. That is spokesman for one horrible, isolated corner of the market, which is these exchanges that, unfortunately, CZ has an $11 million yacht. The CEO of Intercontinental Exchange, which is New York Stock Exchange, does not have an $11 million yacht. So you cannot make this stuff up. It's blatant fraud. He will be extradited. He will be tried. Binance Exchange will be no more. And on its ashes, unfortunately, yes, you've given the BlackRocks the exact excuse that they needed to come in to the solution to the problem they caused in the first place, which is negative interest rates on real terms, which is what created the leaning towards crypto in the first place, something better than the current system. So, we have to see what happens here. But again, there will be many more exchanges than there are today. And they will all be better and more honest than Binance.
Yeah.
Binance, CZ is not your friend, right? He took your money and put it into his boat.
Yeah. But, I think we've been going on
the
for
entire rally that we've had today and this week. Sorry.
No,
go ahead.
No, I was just saying we've been going on for about an hour and 40 minutes. My voice is almost shot, guys. I can't do much more talking, but
you made it, Mike. You did good.
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate it.
You're
I've
welcome.
been muting
I'm
a
here
couple
for you.
times and just coughing a bit, but
So I saw you leaning over a little bit. I'm like, is he gonna make it?
yeah,
You
I
did
might
it.
just fall off
You're
this
right.
chair at some point. But I think that's gonna be everything for Wired Wednesdays. Unless anyone else has something they want to throw in. I appreciate everyone coming on. Dave, as usual, my co-host this week, and I'll be your co-host next week.
Yes.
Ben, thank you so much for coming on, talking about sustainability
coming
and
on.
everything that you're
Appreciate
doing
it.
with Terra. You're doing an amazing job, and it's a great team. You see all the shenanigans we get into every day, so I know you love it. You don't have to say it. And Pat, thanks a lot for coming on, man. It's a lot of interesting talk. There's a lot floating around in the crypto industry, and sounds like you're on top of it. It was a pleasure speaking with you tonight about everything.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me on. If I may just give one last thing for the audience, just
Yeah, of course.
so that they know what's going on with this rally. So this rally was completely done through CZ continuing to sell Bitcoin and other assets on the exchange in order to buy BNB coin to prop it up. At one point today, Bitcoin was trading at 100,000 to liquidate the shorts, again, to take that money from the exchange participants and buy more BNB with it. This is a very short-dated strategy, all while he is awaiting the Department of Justice investigation to be finalized, ratified, brought to the courts. And again, just be watch for this, guys, because that is going to reduce market liquidity by 90%. So make sure you're mining what you want to hold, because you may have to for a few months.
Yeah. I'm
Anyway,
mining
guys,
Flux,
thanks
and I
for
plan
letting
on
me rant
holding
there.
it for a
Thank you.
while, but we'll see how it all goes. But
Yeah.
But yeah, I want to thank everyone again, everyone watching. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for all the comments and the everything like that. We all appreciate it. Me and Dave have been doing Wired Wednesdays. We haven't missed a week, right, Dave?
No,
Look
we've
at
never
that.
missed.
Look
And
at
we've
that.
actually been going on each channel too.
Yeah.
No one's doubled up yet so far.
Yeah.
So far, so good.
Let's see. Cape Cod Crypto. Thanks, guys. Feel better. Saying thank you. I am getting better. Just the cough, it's brutal, but I can taste now. I can eat, and so all is good. I'm sure next week maybe I'll be out of town. We'll see. We'll see, Dave. Maybe I'll be in another hotel. Who knows?
I'm sure you probably will.
But all right, guys. Well, thank you so much for watching Wire Wednesdays. Next week we will be on Dave's channel, the Veteran Miner. Make sure if you are not subscribed to him, go subscribe. And everyone says
Please.
hit that notification bell. I don't know what that means, but if it alerts you of the live streams, definitely hit that thing. That's a good thing.
Yeah, hit the notification bell so you know that we're going live, because our times, it's either 8 o'clock, 8:30, 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. We don't have a set time.
I know. We're
You
trying.
have a channel.
We should get a set time.
Nice.
That'd be a good thing. But
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. It works.
it's completely
though,
my
so we'll-
fault, Dave. It's okay. You can blame it on me. It is my fault.
See what Retro Mike said? about me?
Let's see. You have a
He's a funny guy.
Retro Mike. It's gonna be fun, man. I'm excited for Mining Disrupt. I still gotta buy the ticket, Dave. I
Jesus.
haven't bought the ticket yet. I'm waiting for the 4th of July coupon code.
You have a you have a place
Are
to
you guys
stay,
going
Mike.
next year?
Probably. I don't know. I know
Okay.
Dave's going to this next one. So, Retro Mike has a coupon code. Retro Mike, can you hit me up on Discord? I'm pretty cheap, so I'm sharing a room with Dave though. This is the first. I've never actually met Dave
That's
in
not
real life.
see, but that's not being cheap though, Mike. That's just utilizing resources the right way.
I like that, Dave.
This-
Yeah. You're thinking
Yeah.
StarCraft wise. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
yeah.
Even though I can't play the game, my
Yeah.
life depended on it, but yeah.
It's all right. We could try after the stream, right? We'll give
Oh
it a
goodness.
go. I'm excited to meet Retro Mike. I'm excited to meet everyone. It's gonna
Me
be
too.
super
Me as
super
well.
exciting. It's gonna be awesome. So, Chump Change, damn,
Change.
this thing gets in bed with a guy he just met. Yeah. All right, Chump.
Yep.
It's
That's how we
two
roll.
queen beds. It's not two
Yes.
but yeah, we'll
Two.
yeah, two. I haven't met
Yeah.
Dave in real life yet, but it's all right.
Haven't met
We've
Mike
been
in real
talking
life
for a
either.
long time, Dave. Years, I think. Years at this point. So
Now it's yours.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like with
But-
besties, you know?
yeah, exactly.
It all work out.
So it'll be fun. I'm excited to meet everyone. So thanks again, guys, for coming on. Blue Dragon Mining and Pat, thank you guys so much. Thank you
Thanks
everyone
for
for
having me.
watching.
Appreciate
I'm
you
gonna
guys.
switch it to the ending soon screen. So thank you guys, everyone. We will see you guys next Wednesday for Wired Wednesdays on Dave's
On my channel.
at the
Yes.
Veteran Miner. Check it out. Thanks, guys. Have a great rest of your Wednesday. Peace.